So it's now been 9 months since I bought this boat, which was rotting away in an anchorage about 20 miles from here. And if you looked at the state of the project now, you would probably think not much progress has been made. But there's been a lot of work done over those 9 months, yet there's still a lot of work that needs to be done before I get this boat sailing. It is an ocean-going design, and that's my goal, to sail her across oceans. So since putting her back in the water after all the work on the hard, my goals have been to get the mast up and to get the engines on and to get this into the state of a sailing project. It is a lot more difficult now with the shorter days and the terrible weather, but we are slowly getting there. This week I start mounting one engine which I purchased online, and we go through a little bit of the design of how it's going to be with the cockpit and everything. And also I need to inspect my rear beams, which have not been off and I've not worked on them yet. Obviously there's going to be some nasty surprises as usual. But yeah, hope you enjoy the video. Alright folks, Storm Kieran, let's go and have a look. These are actually some of the highest winds that I've seen on windy out at the coast. Obviously Amsterdam is a little bit closer inland, but actually one of the highest winds I've seen. Well, my camera just got wet and I can actually just report that it's very wet and very windy. Storm Kieran, well done, 10 out of 10. Alright, so I've come to Friesland to pick up a used Yamaha 9.9 high thrust, and I think maybe I paid towards the top end of it, but with it being used I paid 1,500 with the control and a little 12-litre tank. Thanks again to Peter for lending me his Renault Twingo. I love my little Twingo adventures. The guy who sold it to me bought it in spring, and he bought it from like an outboard retailer, so it was all serviced and running properly. We just had it running there. Definitely needed to check that it was running, because last night when he went to start it, it wasn't starting, but it just needed a good priming, so everything's good. I think mechanically it's completely sound. 1,500 euros is better than paying 4,000 euros for a new engine, but I do need 2 engines, so potentially I might get a new one for the other one, I don't know. Also the propeller's a bit shot on this, so I think I'm going to need to get a new propeller. Now I can really get to work on this engine box. So here are my epoxy coated wooden engine mount bracket protectors. Even though I did use the fast setting epoxy, it didn't set. I mean, it was sandable, just about sandable, so there's a few blobs here on the bit that'll rest on the beam. But I've sanded that down. Alright, let's hope the rain doesn't kick in too soon today. I'm a bit worried there's water in my fuel tank, and I'm going to be using the dinghy to transport the engine, I think, rather than lift it up and over and down. It's also nice to get my other engine running, so yeah, it's good to run the engines every now and then. Well, at one point this tank was upside down with the valve open in that dinghy, but there was no fuel in the dinghy. It's really weird. Can you use the rest of the fuel as long as it's separated? It looks a bit like the colour of wee wee. Not as clear as when it goes in.
can usually hear the air in the carburetor. Now that I'm sat here, I can see that the box is not straight, it's kind of wonky, so I need to reroute that piece of wood again to make it lower down. I'll set it to the lowest that I want it, and then I'll just put a couple of little safety ropes because I don't trust the strap mechanism. So this is the fuel pipe that goes into the carburetor, and when I prime it with the handle, you see the fuel comes out but it just gets sucked back. So there's obviously some air getting in. I think I would expect that to just stay. The engine is kind of tilted that way quite a lot because of the angle of the box, so I guess I'll just adjust these pins, move it straight. It didn't include the cables for the control. I've hooked up my old cables from the old engine, but I need to wait for the little attachment bits so I can plug that bit in. We did have the engine started and it does run. There are a couple of other things as well. It's also obviously moving. I need it to be locked in place. So that was not included either. But yeah, you kind of forget about these things when you're looking at them and trying to get it to start. And yeah, my dinghy outboard, that's a bit of a pain. There's air getting sucked in for sure, or it could be the fuel pump. I'll do a few more little tests on that, hopefully. Well, yeah, tonight I'll order the parts for that as well. Better. That is how much I've got under the water. It's flat calm now, and the way the boat's going to move, it's going to move a lot back and forth. So I think it would be a safer bet to put them lower. Bit lower. Also, I'm gonna have to put some more supports, I think, on these brackets. Here's the wire that I'm using, and I'm using these little clamps to make little hoops in the end, like so. I did want to use these to go inside, but I can't get that over the hoop. It's impossible, so I can't use those, unfortunately. So this is probably going to be very fiddly and tricky to get both of them so that the tension is evenly on both of the wires. I am wondering whether it would be better to do a single wire going to like a bridle sort of thing, but I'll do it this way, try and get it right. So there we go, wires, a steel wire. I put a little rope here just to spread the tension between them. They're attached up here. It's not ideal, I guess. Yeah, it's okay. It feels still a bit wobbly sideways. Oh no! So, even though, I mean, it's been a really good trial of doing this, but there is like a bit of wobble. I'm not quite happy with the alignment of this post, but essentially what my idea is, and it requires basically taking everything off again and re-drilling and re-cutting, which is really boring, hence the lack of video last week, because there's just going to be a heck of a load of cutting and drilling and all this stuff. But essentially I'm going to lower these down here, and I'm going to have cross beams, not beams but pieces of steel going across that way, and also steel going from here to the back, so I'm going to have to lengthen those down as well. And then what that enables me to do is, because they're lower, I can make a cockpit in the middle, so there'll be bars coming across here. I'll just put wooden slats. You won't see most of the stainless steel cage. It just means that everything's sort of one solid structure, less wobble in the engine boxes, less stress on these, and just it will distribute the stress more evenly. It's going to be more heavy, but everything's going to be nice and tightly put together. So I do need to spend another few €100, but it's just going to be so much better. I've wasted a lot of time, I've wasted a lot of money, but I've gained a fresh insight, and a lot of the things that have been done really give me a good picture of how I want it to be. So I'm really sorry guys, it's a bit boring, not making much forward progress, but this is going to be well thought out, and this is going to be good. I know it, I can feel it. I know the engine starts, the propeller's mangled, I need a new one of those. I could start it up, but I'm just going to start tearing everything down, taking the engine off, taking these off, getting everything done.
thank you very much to Case. Subscriber just came round with loads of good quality sandpaper. He saw me struggling on the videos with it, so thank you very much, Case. I still have a few days to wait for the steel to arrive, and rather than sit there twiddling my thumbs, I'm going to do all the lashings on the boat pretty much. Also, there's two beams that I've not done any work on. I was poking the little holes and they're just full of water, so the beam troughs need cleaning out. So it's just a little job that I can do while my cage material comes. I bought this roll of 200 meters of this like really good quality 8mm pre-stretched polyester, but it was really difficult to get off. I think it works if you've got a proper thing for the spool, and also the spool just disintegrated, so it's been a right nightmare trying to untangle it. I have something like 20 lashings to make for the beams. The lashing material that's on the beams at the moment is just awful. I don't know how the boat even made it here, but it just shows how like solid it is anyway. But yeah, I'm going to cut up all these lashings and then I need to burn the ends. I've tied a knot at the end so that the white bit doesn't slip out too much. I've been having a terrible day. I've been learning how to do the lashings properly, and I am going to just put them on, but it's rotten under here. I've been messing around with these lashings trying to get it right, and as I've tensioned it, I've felt it give underneath, and it's rotten underneath there on this bit. I knew it was rotten on the bottom one there, but I thought it was just an anomaly. It's going to mean a lot of work on this tow rail, taking it off and sorting it out. It's a really important part of the boat, and yeah, it's rotten. I do still need to lash the beams down though over this, just because I'm taking off those back beams to check them as well. And another terrible thing, I ordered the wrong profile stainless steel. I made a mistake putting it in my basket, and so I have to return all that stuff and then get some more stuff. Silly, careless mistake, but yeah, I'm just gonna lash down these beams. There's no need to put the proper tension on them, so then I can check those other ones and hope they're okay. Potentially they're rotten also.
So some good news is the beam is pretty much all good. Just around the locating block there's a little bit of wood which is a little bit soft, but compared to all the other beams, well, the other two beams that I fixed, it's definitely the best one. And the beam trough is in good condition, no rot anywhere, just some paint has come off. Yeah, the lashing place which was rotted on the other ones, this one, poked it with a really sharp knife and it's solid. So I've cleaned it all out pretty much, and I'll just plop it back in, lash it up, and then get the other one out and check that out. So, just finished the edit for this week. I've also used up all of my footage. Yeah, I'm really struggling to keep up the momentum with the bad weather. I don't know, just something about this season, autumn, winter, it's so difficult. It's not like the summer where you have these long days and the weather's nice. It's just, it's really difficult. And also, yeah, I've been stressing out a lot because when I first started this project, I did promise that I would have the boat sailing this year, and I did have the boat sailing a little bit, but it's not what I wanted, and so I'm disappointed that I've not been able to fulfill it to the extent that I wanted to fulfill it for myself and for you guys watching and expecting this year. I mean, I've got about a month left, but it looks like at the end of the month they're going to stop all work, so I don't think they're going to be able to be lifting my mast on, and also there's a fair bit of work to be done in that respect, and things like the steering system, the winches, the cockpit, the deck. It's just too much for one man to do, and yeah, that's been stressing me out. So it's looking like, I mean, you probably guessed it anyway, it's looking like I'm not going to be sailing the boat under a full rig this year, so I'm really sorry about that. However, I am going to keep continuing. Like I said, I ordered the wrong steel. I've just been making silly mistakes, rushing stuff, trying to achieve that short-term goal and overlooking the long-term goal, which is next year to be sailing, and yeah, to create a safe sailing vessel. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully next week there'll be a video, but it is going to be a lot of chopping and cutting and stuff, so I don't know, maybe I'll do a live while I'm doing that work, I'm not sure. Subscribe, stay notified so that you see that when it happens. And then yeah, my parents are coming early December to do some more work. I'll potentially go back to the UK with them for a month or two because my brother's getting married in February, or I could come back and do some work. Anyway, this year I want to get everything ready for the mast to be put on the boat for next year, and then yeah, sailing next spring and summer. Thank you so much to everyone just for watching. Thank you so much for you incredibly generous people through PayPal, Coffee, Patreon. Super thanks. Really appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully next week video and forward progress. Cheers.